if I mentioned, I think I mentioned this. Just before Christmas, I went to the gun store where I buy most of my stuff from, and what they do is as you walk in, straight in front of you, there's a counter, and they'll have like a rifle set up like this, sort of showcased, I suppose. And it's sometimes it's new rifles, sometimes it's second-hand rifles, sometimes whatever they choose to put on there. Now this was sitting on there, was sitting there in the vise. They had a similar vise to this, and so I've walked in and I've gone, oh yeah, it's a second-handy, yeah, it's second-hand. Oh yeah, what is it, 3006? Oh, okay, fair enough. Picked it up, had a look down the barrel. It was sweet, like really nice. And I said, well, how much do you want for it? Oh, $550. And I said, oh, I'll give you $500. And he said, yeah, all right. So I took it home. Now, one of the pitfalls of buying second-hand rifles is that you may well be buying someone else's problem, just like cars or guitars or anything. Well, what happened was that I had a set of bases. It had Leopold. It came with the Leopold bases and rings, if you're familiar with the Leopold bases and rings, which I don't like. So I removed them, and it's a good thing I removed them because they were just covered in rust. Like all it looks like he might have painted them at some stage in an attempt to prevent the rust, but it just didn't work, and they were just totally rusty. So sorry about the noise. I've got all the windows open. It's really steamy and hot. The monsoon has hit us good and proper, and it's just super steamy. And so I took those bases and rings. They're a weird ass sort of two-piece affair, and I got rid of them. But I had a set of bases that fit Howas, the Remington Howa bases, so I had a set of them. So I plonked them on, and I got the good my old faithful Delta titanium 4.5 to 30. Whacked that on. And bought, how many have I got there? Six different factory loads to test out. So before I talk about the results of the accuracy testing, I'll just talk about the rifle. It's an old rifle, and how I know that is because of the trigger, and because now when I took it out of the stock, because I do that for all the rifles I get, check things out. I took it out of the stock, and the trigger has not been adjusted at all because there's this rubber plastic security paste or whatever it is, glue that's over the adjustment screw, and it's still there. So unless someone's adjusted it and applied fresh stuff that they got somewhere, which I don't know, I doubt, but in any case, the trigger is really, really sweet. Like it's really light. I would say that it's about 3 pounds. Like really, it's really nice and light. So because I'm pretty sure that they have increased the weight of the triggers out of the factory with the new ones. The other reason I know it's an old rifle is because the follower. Pop it open. Come on. Bloody thing won't pop open. The follower is plastic or polymer. On all of my other Howas, it's sheet steel, so that's different. The other reason I know it's an old rifle is because of the writing on the top of the barrel. None of my Howas have got writing on the top of the barrel. It's stamped in. It's not laser cut in. So. And it doesn't have that, whatever that weird ass barcode, QR code or whatever it is, doesn't have any of that on there. So it's an old rifle, definitely. I haven't tried to look up the serial number. I know it's an old rifle. And when I was looking at it, I thought, oh yeah, that's seen a few years, but the barrel's really, really sweet. Super smooth, never had a problem with it. Yep. Like I said, the trigger is, it's a two-stage trigger, but like the take up is not much at all. It's very positive, and then I'd say it's about 3, maybe 3.5, probably about 3.5 pounds, which is quite nice. You know, for a hunting rifle, you don't really want it much less than that. Now that's not the. I'm not going to keep the titanium on there. I've got the old obligatory Leopold VX Freedom, 4.5 to 12, which I'm totally in love with them. I've got 5 of them now. They're just a fantastic hunting scope. If you want a hunting scope, lifetime guarantee, Leopold quality, hey, how can you go wrong? So that's going on there later. So as far as a rifle is concerned, and surprisingly enough, I've never owned a 30-06 before, or 6, but I've got the 270, and that thing really kicks. And I have to say, because I've fired quite a few rounds through this thing now, and I have to say, off a bench, and I have to say that this thing doesn't kick any worse than the 270. In fact, I don't know whether it's the you know, the geometry or the recoil pads or what, but I reckon this is isn't as bad on your shoulder as the 270. I reckon this is a bit nicer to shoot, which was a big surprise. It really was. I was expecting, you know, a real butt kicker, but no. So that's nice. Now we'll go through. I don't want this to tip over. We'll go through the. I'll get that out of the way. We'll go through the. Yeah, we'll go through the accuracy testing. So I've got 6 different brands of ammo, and this is how it ended up. Now, out of the factory ammo, where is she? Out of the factory ammo, there was only one. Out of the 6, there was only one that was sort of half decent, and that was the Hornady Superformance. So I did a sighter, and that was 1.4 inches, and then I fired some more, and you can see that that's just I call that minute of barn. Yeah, you could hit side of a barn with it, but it's about as good as it got. Best group there was 0.94. These 3-shot groups, and that one's like a couple of inches, and yeah, and that's the best. So let's see, how did Fiocchi? So that was 180 grain. Oh no, 165 grain SSTs. So that was the best of the lot. So that, because I was trying to figure out what weight projectile, because it's a 1 in 10 twist, I believe. So I was trying to figure out what's the best weight of projectile to shoot through it. Now, what's this one? Fiocchi. I don't know. I've not heard brilliant things about Fiocchi. This was the 150 grain. 150 grain what? 150 grain. 150. Yeah. Plastic nose. Yeah. So it's a plastic tip, polymer tip, and that sighter was pretty good. It was like about, I don't know, I never measured that. That sighter was, these are all at 100 metres, so 110 yards. That sighter for the Fiocchi was 1.2, which is actually the best group out of the factory loads, but the rest of it was just, yeah, minute of barn again, like averaging at about over 2 inches, averaging about 2.2 inches. So yes, there you go. And there's a 5-shot group of the Fiocchi, and that one is 1.7, 1.6, 1.7. So yeah, you know, I mean that's all right, but I was expecting better from a Howa. What was the next one? Remington 180 grain core locked PSP, which, yeah, I've never had much success with Remington, accuracy wise. So the sighter was, how big was it? It was big. So 3-shot sighter into the crosshairs. You're looking at about 1.8 inches, and again, yeah, minute of barn, averaging over 2 inches. Yeah, rubbish. So yeah, not surprising. I've never had much accuracy luck with accuracy with Remington factory ammo. It's always been. Sorry about the sunglasses, but it's It's just steamy as, because like I said, the monsoon is well and truly here. Now, what was the next one? Federal 180 grain soft point. One thing that I experienced with the soft points is all of these soft points, like all of them, were sort of squared off. They didn't go to a point, like they'd been deliberately flattened, and I did have to double feed them, because you'd go to feed and it'd catch and then you pull back and go in again. So the polymer tips definitely, just out of the internal magazine, the polymer tips definitely feed a lot better. The Federal, now the sighter for the Federal, the first two rounds were all about virtually on top of each other, like 0.2 of an inch, 0.3 of an inch, and then there was a wild one that threw it out to almost 2 inches. And yeah, again, what was that average? About almost, probably looking at an average of about 2 inches, almost 2 inches. So that didn't set the world on fire either. Now, strangely, even though I don't have any time for Winchester ammunition, this was the sighter for the Winchester 180 grain Super X PowerPoint, and the sighter went 0.53, 0.54 of an inch. Super X. Glasses are fogging up. Lights are so bright, I've got to have some shielding. So that was, I'm just over the moon about that. Then the next one is just over 2 inches, and the next one, these are all 3-shot groups, and the next one is over 3 inches, and then another good one, close, was like 1.3, and yeah, so that's 180 grain. Yeah, and yeah, what a huge disappointment. And I don't know what happened to the 125. I had oh, I know what I threw. There's also a 125 grain. So 180 grain Super X, 125 grain Super X, and the 125 grain was, it averaged about 4 inches. No joke, it was a shocker. So pardon me, I'm having another Corona because it's stinking hot. I'm totally unabashedly unashamedly having a beer because it's hot. So considering those results, I sort of went away thinking, oh God, this thing's a hose, or it's not very accurate, as you would think as well. Yeah, so I was going home, pretty down in the dumps about the whole thing, and and so I'm thinking, well, I had 3 different projectiles that I could do hand loads with. So what I did was I went home and and knocked up 50 rounds, 15 of one, 15 of another, and 20 of another. And I'll tell you what happened there. So I go back to the range, which was just yesterday, and the first, so I was using Jagerman, or if you're in the United States and can't pronounce things properly, it's Jagerman. You remember, it's Jagerman. Sorry, not insulting you. But because Aussies can't pronounce crap either, they're hopeless. They're probably worse. So the Jagerman brass, American-made brass, which the first thing that I do when I get brass, and I haven't got the bag here, I'm pretty sort of scathing at people packing brass in bags because there's no protection. And like whenever I buy the Winchester, whenever I used to buy the Winchester brass, it would just be beaten to the hell. and I'd have to put it through the sizer just to get it back in shape, because it'd just be that beaten up. So I refuse to buy Winchester brass anymore. It's just junk. All right, Olin. And if anyone from Winchester is watching this, or anyone who knows someone from Winchester who's watching this, or from Olin, you guys just make rubbish, and you should be bloody ashamed of yourselves that you put that crap on the shelves. It's just junk. Just, you know, if you buy a bag of Winchester brass, just take it straight to the scrap merchant, because that's all it's good for. It's just junk. But this Jagerman, I had one case. It was a bag of 50. I had one case where the throat was just slightly pushed in, which was really easy to do. I just, you know, bent it out with a round punch. You know, I didn't even have to size it. And so that Jagerman brass, like I said, the first thing I do when I get brass is I chamfer the flash hole inside. And to their credit, Jagerman, you were making pretty good brass, because there wasn't a lot that I was shaving. So it's pretty good brass, you know. It's not Lapua, but it's not bad. It's right up there. In fact, I would say it's, of all the brass that I've used, and I've used just about every brand of brass, except I've never used Norma. Well, I probably have, but it was under some other name. It would probably be like, there's Lapua, who are up here in the stratosphere, and then there's everybody else, you know, sort of, you know, close to each other, or just rubbish like Winchester. Because Lapua is the only brass I've ever had where I consistently, regardless of what calibre I've bought it in, you don't have to do anything to it. It's ready to go. All the flash holes are perfect. The throats are round. You know, there's no sharp edges. There's nothing. The brass is just pristine, gorgeous, which is why it costs so much, and why the American, you know, shooting team dumped Hornady. Yeah, good old Patriots. They dumped Hornady and used Lapua, or Lapua, because it's the best. But anyway, the Jagerman brass is pretty good. So all 50 rounds, Jagerman brass, CCI 200 primers, and AR 2208 powder, which is Varget, yeah, a perennial favourite. Now, so anyway, sorry about the segue. Went to the range and put the rifle down, and so I did a sighter. Now, one of the projectiles that I had was Hornady 150 grain SSTs they've got that cannelure, and that's got 49 grains of AR 2208 Varget, and so this was the sighter. So after being really, like, virtually, you know, becoming depressed about the accuracy results, you know, I did it over a couple of days before. Next thing you know, I've got measurements here. Next thing you know, next thing you know, so this was the sighter, shooting the first hand load, 3-round group, .68. So I've shot it, and I'm looking through the scope, going, oh, please don't change, please don't, you know, deteriorate into an utter mess. So I only had 15 rounds of this. I'm spewing, because I would have liked to have had more, but yeah, that's all I had. And the rest of the groups were, so I went and shot the rest of the ammo off. .85, .53, these are all 3-shot groups. .53, that's a 5-shot group. .76, that ragged hole is 5 shots. That's .76. Yeah. I'm definitely making more of that. So, the next hand load that I had, another 15, was Nosler 150 grain ballistic tips. Again, 49 grains of AR 2208 Varget. So the sighter, I did a 5-shot group on this one, and without the flyer it was .6. with the flyer, it's 5 shots out of a sporter, an old Howa sporter. The rest of the groups were, I kept having, with this nozzler, I kept having flyers. Like I had flyer there. So I just did 3 5-shot groups because I only had 15. With the flyer, it's 1.9. Without the flyer, it's 0.9. And the other one with the flyer, it's 1.5. Without the flyer, it's 0.96. All three groups, I had 1 flyer. It's a bit unusual, but whatever. So, what next happened? Then the third hand load that I had, which was 20 rounds, is a Hornady 178 grain ELD match with 46 grains of AR2208 Varget. So the sighter was 1.9. So I'm going, that's not too crash hot. Now, because that was so crap, I did a 3-shot group, went to 1.3. I did another 3-shot group, 1.2. Then I did a 5-shot group, 1.5, and another 5-shot group, 1.5. So it's a 1 in 10 twist, and that's clearly not tight enough for it to stabilise the heavier bullets. Because when you go 150 grain SST, and I actually seated, I normally seat the projectiles to where they're just off the lands, like a little bit off the lands, a few thou off the lands. And I did, because it's quite a short projectile, it's only 150 grain, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, and because it's got the canalure on it, the SST's got the canalure on it, I'm looking at it going, that looks really weird. That canelure's there for a reason. So what I did was I went ahead and just seated them all the way to the canalure and then did a slight crimp. These were all crimped, by the way. Not a lot, just a little bit. And so it wasn't even near the lands. You know, it's a fair way off the lands. Like it's probably, I don't know, a millimetre or 2 off the lands. And with those results, like half an inch, 0.76, 0.85, 0.68. Definitely, if you've got a Howa 3006 sporter, give the 150 grain Hornady SSTs a go with 49 grains of Varget, because wow, it just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away to get that sort of result after having like really shit, you know, pardon my French, really crap results with the factory ammunition. So anyone who thinks that hand loading is pointless, nah. This certainly proves that it's not pointless. It's the way to go. So, like I said, if you've got a Howa 3006 sporter with the 1 in 10 twist, the Hornady 150 grain SSTs, there you go. There's the results. Then I've got old eyes. You know, yeah, it's the 30 power scope, but you know, I'm still an old man with old eyes. 0.68, 0.85, 0.53, and a 5-shot group of 0.76. Is that wild or what? So there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, yeah. And that adds up because I only had 15 rounds and there's 3 there, 6, 3 there, 9, 10, and 5, 15. So that is a 5-shot group, 0.76, you know. And the other thing is that, is when I shoot, I was shooting that thing, right? No joke. I was shooting that thing until I couldn't touch the barrel. Like, I mean, I couldn't touch it. Couldn't hold my hand on it, couldn't touch it. It got that hot. So that thing was, because it was, those 3 days that I went were just, there was no clouds, nothing. It was just stinking hot. It was in the 40s. The first day I went on the Friday, it was 44. Pardon me. Then I went on the Sunday because on the Saturday they have competition and it's a pain in the ass, so I don't bother. I went on the Sunday and it was like 41 or something, and then yesterday it was about 40. You know, it was damn hot, and that barrel was just taking. That's sort of one of the reasons why I was only doing 3-shot groups, because you'd fire 5 rounds through it and you wouldn't be able to touch the barrel. It got that hot that quick. And it just took ages to cool down. I was having to put a wet hanky over the barrel just to get it to cool down in any sort of reasonable time. So, sum it up, really happy. Really happy. After thinking that I'd bought, a hose. Yeah, it's a tack driver with the 150 grain Hornady SSTs. Hornady, you make some fantastic projectiles, no doubt about it. I love your projectiles. Your brass is average, and especially your 17 Hornet brass is junk. So, yeah, if you get a 38.6 Howa Sporter, 150 grain Hornady SSTs with 49 grains of AR2208. So, hope that helps you out there. See you later.